Right. You've been busy. Let me just work out what's been done. Is there going to be a path?
The path is going to follow all the way from the deck into the rose arch.
OK. And the rose arch, which is now in position?
Yes, I'm planning to keep it there in the little corner of the garden.
But clearly, Monty is missing something important.
I was expecting a much larger tree. At what point did you change your mind about that?
I don't think I want a tree overwhelming the rest of the garden.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, what matters is you've arrived at where you want it to be. So the next stage is to plant it. Where do you want the tree to go?
Monty can see that Alex is beginning to feel more sure of what she's after. Time for action.
I'm thinking basically right in the middle of the garden, and the path moves around it.
So if you go back onto the decking and you can see, and just say up a bit, down a bit.
See, I was going to move it further to my left, your right.
OK.
Yeah, and maybe slightly towards me. And then I think we've got... Yeah, that's probably about...
How's that?
I think that's probably about where I was going to put it. Right, Dad's here to help.
I'm very, very pleased to see you. The cavalry is here. It used to be thought, when I started planting trees, you added compost and manure underneath it, and you gave it a start, and you fed it. We don't do that now, because if you put goodness underneath the roots are going to stay there.
Yeah.
Why would they not? And it delays the growing out.
Right.
You put your goodness on top, you mulch thickly.
First, Monty gets to work with Kevin and Alex, digging a hole as deep as the tree's container.
The best soil, in theory, is going to be the first foot, which is what, obviously, we need to keep the best soil to feed back in.
Yeah.
And any really rough stuff on the other side.
With Spock overseeing proceedings, they widen the hole.
Right, so we need to take some turf off. At least another foot.
Another foot, yeah.
Right, what we'll do
Dig this to
is
the
take
centre.
that out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then we'll start digging around.
Right.
So the whole thing's loose.
Now the hole is fully prepared, Monty gives another piece of advice.
So will we need to unravel some of
No.
these small
No, if it's very pot-bound, i.e. if they're roots, what you can do is sometimes just, don't try and unravel them, but just break them.
Yeah.
Just like that. And what that does is stimulate regrowth from the points where they broke. Critical now.
With all preparation completed, it's time for the heavy lifting.
Perfect. Is that the way you want it?
OK, if you slightly twist it towards you, Monty.
That way, OK, to your left.
To my left, yeah, clockwise then.
Yep. OK, we'll come around again.
Yeah, that side is higher, so that's going to work over a path. Yeah, I'm happy with the look of it.
So, what we'll do is we will water it.
Yeah.
When the water's completely soaked in,
Right.
then we'll mulch it. Otherwise, the mulch can absorb the moisture.
Right.
You planted a big tree. Not many people ever do that. There is one problem which I've noticed, which is it's on a slope, and water finds a level. So that if the water filled up to the highest point here, my guess is it would hit to about there.
Ah, yeah.
So why don't I dig a bit and someone else brings soil in,
Right.
and we do it like that.
Can we use turf?
Yes.
Or do you want...
You can use turf. Turf would be good.
Right.
But I would, rather than chuck it, I would place it.
And with everyone mucking in to help, the problem is soon put right.
Like that, and like that. And we build it up. We'll start to build up a kind of bank. Right, that is dead level.
Whee!
So that's the height.
Next, Monty wants to create a planting shelf within the pond, along one side, before stretching a liner over the whole thing.
Are we keeping the plants in the pots then, not burying them in the soil?
No, you keep them in the pots.
I
they're
didn't
in
know
aquatic
that.
points. You can bury them in the soil, but the soil is usually too rich.
Right, OK.
And also, where's the soil going to be? It's underneath the liner, isn't it?
True. I thought we'd cut a hole in the line.
No, if you cut a hole in the liner, where does the water go?
Yeah, through the hole.
What a relief to have an expert on board.
A liner to a pond, if you imagine you put on skin-tight rubber, every wrinkle and fold will be revealed.
Steady, Monty.
Once it has been seen, it cannot be unseen.
The better we make the preparatory surface, the better and the easier it is to put the liner on. So if we put the sand in and then spread it, just spread it evenly out. It only needs to be about an inch thick. That's good, that's good.
And just when it's needed, reinforcements arrive to lend a hand.
Don't scrape it over the ground. Keep lifted up if you can. OK? Well done.
Monty shows them the next step, weighing down the liner with stones once it's in just the right place. Then it's ready to be filled. While that's happening, Monty has sent the children on an errand.
Monty, we've been down to the river,
Right.
got a bucket of river
Oh, well
water.
done. I think of this as soup. And what you do is if you add it to that water, it then becomes full of life, not life you can see, and then gradually that will feed into other life, and then we put plants in, that will get richer. So who's going to have the honour of pouring it in? If I just go, who's that? Right, I call this pond Lake Evie. Go on. I name this pond. There you go, go on, pour it in. Well done. That's it. OK, I'll give you a hand. Go on. So if we start, say, with the box, how do you see that shaping up? Where had you thought of these?
We were thinking along here, three boxes along here,
1,
to try and draw your eye into.
2, and what about the cones?
The cones we were thinking to have one here,
Yeah.
one here, and one here.
Okay,
yeah,
let's
to
go.
create a kind of gateway as you're going through here.
So let's start over this side. So you think one there?
Yep.
So we have structure either side of the path there.
Yes.
Structure either side of the path there.
Yes.
And a line cut. Fine. Good. That makes sense. So now we're thinking of more structure, the biggest plants. Let's get these agapanthus out.
Yeah.
How had you thought of them working?
We wanted to have the height kind of maybe in the centre, and then we were kind of thinking of having grasses around so you could look through.
Seems to be going well, but perhaps Syra hasn't done quite as much research as she
See
thought.
here. Agapanthus flowers best when it's crammed into a container.
Right.
Put this into this nice rich soil, you'll have lots of leaves and no flowers.
Oh, right, OK. We don't want that.
So either they've got to go somewhere with poor soil and preferably a bit stony, or in a pot.
Right.
Having worked so hard up to this point, Tariq is not going to be deterred.
Can we plant them in a pot in the ground?
You could do that.
And we've got 6 of them, so do we all stick them all together in one big pot? or-
Yeah, because these are quite small. I mean, you could, because they like to be crowded, you can cram them into a pot. Probably what you'd do is have 2 pots and have 3 in each pot.
Yeah, that's what we'd want to do.
And you would pack them tight. Don't give them too much room. They need only about an inch around the outside of soil, and that would work.
Alongside the agapanthus, Syra has chosen verbena and echinacea to add height. While fountain grass and Mexican feathergrass soften the overall look.
This is a plant which you grow as much as anything else for its texture.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing they need and they like is good drainage.
Right. So this was, you know, when we saw the garden in
Yeah.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
and they had the silver bits that were in with the
Yeah.
purple. That's where I got the inspiration for these
So many
ones from.
plants.
Here's a thought. You could do that.
That's nice, actually.
What we're trying to do is build up a rhythm of colour and texture and shape that feels natural, but has actually got a very distinct colour palette and texture. This is all quite light and soft, both in colour and shape. There are no spiky plants.
No.
There's nothing too rigid or hard, and the grasses make it softer like that. I think this is progress. The progress to me is that you're thinking about how plants work.